Hello and hello. We have another standard deck tech video with the post banning of the Mythok Massacre. As we all know, we had to move on with that legendary enchantment, in which I think it's greatly affected the mid-range decks in the metagame of standard. So anyway, we're not really dwelling on that because we have this deck list from Mr. Ricardito, which is we call it as Azorius Flash, which, as we know with no Flash, you can play the spells at any time as an instant. So with the current lineup in this format, which we would accommodate almost all of the flashy spells that we can grab on and put out in the deck list. So this deck has really performed well. I think it was undefeated in a MTG Online League, but I made some few adjustments in the main. We make sure we'll discuss it later on. But we check on what we got with this build. So if you notice, mostly composed of counter spells, some blockbuster to deal with the card draws, wedding announcements also, and removals. Of course, the flashy Emperor with was its main 4-drop and the only Planeswalker in the lineup. So with the creature choices, we have the 4 of each. We have resolute enforcements, which later on can be used with the token extra. I mean, the extra 1/1 creature, white creature soldier token can be exploited by the Overcharge Amalgam. So this Amalgam also is a 4 to cast 3/3 flash with flying, but when it's able to exploit a creature, it can counter an ability, activated, ability man, activate or trigger, whatever, and a counter target spell. So it's a solid 4 to cast flying flash beater, at the same time can counter any relevant spell and ability. So in the support with this, we also have Spectral Adversary. This is more of a utility creature, but if needed, it can just be casted for 2 for a 2/1 flying attack on each turn. But when you get to pay more 2 for this ability, it gets that many plus counters on it, and up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, and enchantment face out. You can face out any potential attacker, or you can face out another creature or enchantment you control that may dodge a spot removal, for example, a destroy evil effect, or a braid from a Reckoner Buster. So basically, this can save out by making them face out of this the battlefield. So in that effect, we have overall those 12 creatures, and this is supported by, again, the Reckoner Buckbusters. This is just your main 2-drop for the card draw, and if later on can become a potential 4/4 attacker with its Spydot, you can just screw it for free. And in that support, we have also our utility card with an announcement. Nothing much to include here because it can just produce creatures or do card draws if you would be able to attack with 2 or more creatures. And at the same time, it can transform into an anthem later on, which can also become relevant in certain matchups. It's also help boost up your board and also have to deal extra damage because of this anthem effect. So along with it, it is supported by this new enchantment flashy exile effect from Dominaria United. We have Prayers of Binding, in which you can exile up to 1 target non-permanent on opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. And also the bonus that you will gain life or gain 2 life in the process. So with the instance, we just check and by one by one. As I mentioned, my changes here was that I switched the one March of the Rolling Light, since it was a good removal with the mana sink. But I think early on I need to have a solid spot removal in the sense, so I added instead the other copy and make it the Faithful Absence. But the reason out is that we can destroy any creature or planeswalker. So the only drawback is that they will get a clue token, which later on will not be really relevant as they go with the late game, as the more that they would delay the turn, the more we'll be able to establish our board and also have our counter mana up for this setup. So that's not really a bad drawback of having them to get a clue token. And at the same time, we have the solid counter spells with 3 make disappears, which we can make the casualty out of the wedding announcement tokens or from resolute reinforcements. Next, we also have negates and spell pierce as a support card, in which you can just eke out early on, such as countering their turn 2 Monkbusters or their turn 3 Fable with the Spell Pierce. In negate for that solid invoke, maybe they can just hardcast invoke in the late game and have negate to counter it. And of course, the lone card draw here. We just had the Mario Deluge to fill out our hand. But our main card draw that we can depend on is the Reckoner Backbuster. Of course, we're just having to pay 2 each turn to draw a card. So with that, the last curve for this, the Prince Walker, the Emperor, which more of a utility in the counter, just as exiling their creatures, their top attacking creatures, and also producing your own with a 2/2 white summarized creature token vigilance. So if ever they would need to flash it out at the end of their turns, and they might not have any answers for it, the tokens can just go through and just pick out enough damage while you still maintain your mana for countering their spells. Of course, they're just only their relevant spells. That would depend on the scenario or the board or in your hand that would have in that certain setup. Now for the lands, we have 25 lands to make sure that we won't really miss out. We have the certain beach and waste for the mana fix. We have Otawara again and Iganju for the utility cards with the channel. Of course, 6 islands and plains for the basic, and Tranquil Grove also as an additional fix with this awesome new art from Warhammer 40k custom version of the of this land. So I would also have this, but I think I can include at least one Raffine's Tower here, in which we can also have it cycled in the late game instead of the Tranquil Globe. But maybe he's on the budget on this. But anyway, we can still have a Raffine's Tower instead of this if we got the extra cards that we can put it out instead of just having Tranquil Grove to gain 1 life. But anyway, overall, this is just a good deck to consider in your standard rank. I think this is still very potentially viable. You just really need to be wary on how you play around the opponent's spells and how you would set up their play in when to tap out for wedding announcement or have your Recurrent Blockbuster activated to attack. So that will also depend on how the opponent will react. So lastly, we'll just check on the deck stats. Color distribution is 18 for blue and 19 for white. It's basic, almost the same. The average mana cost is 2.66 with the subtypes here. Just not really many the type of features. And lastly, are the deck tokens that we use. There are variants of it, such as Clue, Human Pilot, Samurai. We also have Soldier and Treasure token, of course, for this one. So that's about it. This is for Azorius Flash update in standard post-banning of the Mythok Massacre. If you like this video, I would suggest to click on the lower right portion for the subscription and turn on notifications for updates as opposed this more of this kind of decks and strategy for standard and maybe for Pioneer in the coming days. That's about it. Thank you for checking this, and until the next time, see ya.